Hi everyone, this is Professor Winston, and this is a preview for module number 7, which is next week's module. We don't meet on on Monday, which is Columbus Day, and happy Columbus Day to everyone. I hope everyone has a good weekend. The work for the week is scheduled as usual, even though I won't be meeting with my hybrid Monday classes. That's sections section 13 and section 22. I'll not be meeting with you next week. I will be meeting with the section 15 on Wednesday. In any case, all the work is due. As usual, you need to do your prep work for project number 3. Step number 4 is due on Thursday. By Friday, the group discussion is due, though I will accept it up until Sunday. I'd like to see most of you getting the conversation done by Friday evening, and this discussion will be on the PowerPoint, on designing PowerPoint slideshows. And then by Sunday you should complete the quiz, which is on beginning and ending the speech. Now I'd like to take you through the module number 7 and explain the work for the upcoming week, so that we can continue with the class, even though we're not, as we know, not meeting on Monday. The first thing you want to do is make sure to go through and read the chapter in the textbook on introducing and concluding the speech. The top folder, which I'm opening now, includes these narrated slideshows, which you should also view. There is a sample video. Well, there's a link here to the Hidden World of Chili Peppers speech, which you've seen, and I'm asking you to take a quick look at the introduction to that speech and the conclusion of that speech to remind you that what it should belong in the introduction and conclusion. For your informative speech, you need to include a formal introduction and conclusion, as the speaker does in the Hidden World of Chili Peppers speech. And I've included some questions here that you need to consider about the introduction. This is discussed in the introduction, in the chapter on introducing the speech. So you need to know what the attention device is, what that is, and notice how he uses an attention device. Notice how the speaker in the Chili Pepper speech reveals his topic clearly. Notice that he also lets the audience know that he has some credibility in this area. And finally, the speaker previews the main points and the purpose and thesis of his speech at the end of the introduction. All of these skills need to be practiced by you when you deliver your informative presentation. Also, in the conclusion of the speech, of the Chili Pepper speech, I want you to note how the speaker announces that he's coming to the end of his presentation. Then he reviews in the conclusion the important ideas that he covered in his informative speech. He ends with a final statement, and notice that he does not add new ideas to the conclusion. You do not want to add new ideas, but just review what you have already covered in your presentation. So make sure to go through that speech and through these slideshows and read the introduction, the chapter on introducing and concluding the speech before you take the quiz on beginning and ending the speech. Remember, the quiz needs to be in by Sunday. The discussion for Module 7 right here is a discussion to get us to start thinking about using PowerPoint. Now, some of you have already used PowerPoint in the past, and some of you have never used PowerPoint at all. For your informative speech, you need to include, at least in part of your speech, not for the entire speech, but just for a part of the speech, you need to include at least one slide that illustrates something that you that you're talking about in your presentation. Now, in your project number 3, you're collecting visual aids, and certainly any one, two, or combination of those visual aids can be used to populate your PowerPoint slides. So what I'd like you to do first off is if you know nothing about designing a PowerPoint, you might want to take these tutorials here in this link that I've included. It's a Microsoft Office tutorial on using PowerPoint. There are many tutorials. This is just one that might be useful. For the discussion, though, I want you to answer the questions down here. I'll get to them in a second, but before you look at those questions, I'd like you to link on this entertaining videos which give you some idea on how to design a PowerPoint, mistakes that are made in designing PowerPoint slideshows. And I'd like you to take a look at these videos. I think you'll enjoy them. And then once you've taken a look at the video, I'd like you to answer these questions in your replies in the discussion. As an audience member, how would you like a speaker to use PowerPoint? You're going to be watching speakers using PowerPoints a lot in your career and in the class this semester, and I'd like you to tell us how you would like to see speakers use PowerPoint. Also, what mistakes can be made in using PowerPoint, and what are the ones that you think are the biggest mistakes that speakers make when they use PowerPoint in their slideshows. One mistake I can point out is that speakers tend to use PowerPoint too much, and it should be used only in a limited way. But that's my 2 cents. I'd like to hear what you have to say. So that's the class discussion for next week. The final thing that you need to do is start working on step number 4 in project number 3. And for step number 4, what you're going to be doing is you're going to share one piece of interesting supporting material that you have found in your research. Remember, in step number 3, step number 2, you started finding secondary sources, and you should be reading those secondary sources and annotating them and getting familiar with them. I'd like you to take one piece of interesting supporting material, and this is just one piece, say for instance a statistic that you found that was interesting, or an illustrative story or example that exemplifies something that you're going to be talking about in your speech, or it could be a piece of testimony, a quote from an expert that you'd like to talk about. And I'd like you to present that piece of supporting material either in class. If you're in section 15, you'll be presenting that supporting material in class on Wednesday, or if you are in the section 13 or section 22, I want you to present that piece of supporting material in a video, in a 1 to 2 minute video that you'll put into step number 4. Please take a look at the sample project number 3 that includes a video that does just this, in which the speaker shares a piece of supporting material and also the notes that he used in creating the video. So make sure to take a look at that sample. So that is project number 3. This work needs to be in as scheduled next week, even though we're not meeting on Monday. Again, if you're in section 15, you'll be you're here this regular class. You'll be presenting on Wednesday a 1 or 2 minute sharing of a piece of supporting material that you think is interesting. This is an informal presentation, and though you should practice it, it's just sharing what you're going to do. If you'd like to also show us something, you can certainly use PowerPoint if you'd like to practice that for this in-class presentation. For the hybrid class, you need to create a 1 to 2 minute video, as is shown in the sample of project number 3, sharing one piece of supporting material. I'm not looking for a lot. I'm just looking for one interesting piece of supporting material, either a statistic, a piece of testimony, which would be a quote from an expert, which is then explained, and or a story, an illustrative story, or an example that you think is interesting that you're going to be using in your speech. Okay, so that is the prep for next week. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I will, of course, get to your questions right away. I am going to be looking at your steps numbers 2 and 3 of project number 3 later today, and adding my second set of notes in your blogs. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.